Hey, it's Lynn Galadner, and this is the Make Meaning podcast. I'm founder of the Your People marketing and PR agency, and I lead the Make Meaning movement, a platform that helps purpose-driven visionaries and leaders do business with meaning. On this podcast, you'll hear stories of how people dare to take chances to live the life they want, with meaningful work and purposeful days. There are many ways to fill your life with meaning. Join us at makemeaning.org to learn more. Now, on to the show. Hey, everybody, it's Lynn Galadner, and I'm back with another episode of the Make Meaning podcast. Thanks so much for listening. If you like what you hear here, check us out over at makemeaning.org and get involved. We have programs and workshops, blogs to read, podcast episodes to listen to, and I'm so grateful to have you as our audience. Today, I'm speaking with John Wynn, an entrepreneur with a spiritual background and a deep connection to family. The only boy among 9 siblings, John grew up to become the father of 8 children who all work alongside their parents in their 24-hour TV network platform, the Wynn Network. Based in Nevada, John Wynn is a pastor, an educational consultant, an author, a musician, and so much more. He says there are innate desires within us from birth that guide us to what we like, who we associate with, and what ideas we are attracted to. John credits his parents with inspiring him to take life in stride and enjoy the journey. Dr. John Wynn is a bishop and a filmmaker, a CEO and a writer, and he says it's his mission to develop lives, empower communities, and expand services. Let's hear what Dr. John Wynn has to say. John Wynn, welcome to the Make Meaning podcast.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk with you. You have such a varied background, both personally and professionally, and I'm really looking forward to exploring it all. But I want to start by asking you about what it was like being the only son of 9 children and how that shaped your perspective.
Great question. Well, you know what? I'm not only the only son, I'm number 7 of 8 sisters. And one thing that perspective was shaped is a connection with women in my life, because I can relate to one of them because I run into one of their personalities. So it gives me great perspective on personalities and how to deal with various different ideologies in women.
So you probably had like 9 mothers, right?
Yeah, they try to be my mother.
So yeah, no, it's funny because I'm the oldest of 3 and I have a sister and then my brother's the youngest. And so he feels like he had 3 mothers and he moved like 8 hours away, I think, because of that. So I'm not going to comment, but I'm sure you are quite the gentleman after all of that feminine influence. So yes.
Definitely.
Well, so one of the things that I loved when I was researching you and preparing for this interview was how marriage and family have really been a bedrock in your life. I know you've talked a lot about how you revere and admire your parents' relationship. I know you have a strong marriage that is the anchor for your family, which includes 8 children. So I'd love to hear from you about how you define your family values and how you came to articulate what really matters to you.
Well, I think it started with my father. My father was a man of great stature. He did tremendous work in the state of Nevada, first African American on the governor's cabinet. Recently, last summer, we named an apartment complex after him by the Reno Housing Authority. And my father was about responsibility and attitude. And he was a strong believer that, a good attitude would take you a long way. So he cared a lot about character, integrity, and he believed in taking care of the family. He identified love with responsibility. He did not identify it just with an emotion of feeling or emotion of hugs and kisses and those type of nuances, but he identified it as taking care of what you love. And I think that transcended to me and my family, where I have 4 girls and 4 boys, to where I taught them the responsibility, but also if you take on a job, take on the job because of you. It represents you. It represents your touch. It represents your mindset, and it represents your excellence. So I try to pass that down from what my father passed to me as being the only male child. And, I hope I can live up to what he did, how impactful he was in the city of Reno and abroad. So I think that's what I looked more for, especially having men, coming from the only boy and having 8 sisters, you don't get a lot of male perspective. But I try to give my sons the importance of responsibility and following through with your ability as well as my daughters.
Yeah, I love that. It's really interesting because we often talk about family values and articulating what matters, but I think a lot of people don't know how to really explain what those values are. So I think you said it really well. And I know that you start each day with devotion and you devote time after that to talking with your wife and your children. And, sort of that starts your routine. And I feel like that's an embodiment of these values, like how you use your time, how you start your day and sort of focus it speaks volumes. So I wonder if you could take me through this routine and tell me about how it grounds you for your work.
Well, my father I'm a third generational pastor. My dad was a pastor. My grandfather was a pastor.
Mhm,
But just because you're a pastor and per se a religious leader doesn't mean that you have practices
mhm,
of self discipline or self focus in your own daily routine of devotion.
sure.
Mine, believe it or not, my daily devotion started mainly on a strict thing is when I was going to do my first film.
Hmm,
And it's like in my spirit, I felt like I had to make a covenant and a vow to God that, he wanted one. So I gave him one. I said, okay, Father, you blessed me to do this. I'll give you my morning
mhm,
and I'll give you my time every month.
mm,
And it started like that. And so by me doing those type of things and practices and meditation and prayer, singing, whatever it may be,
mhm,
on reading or studying or just listening, it has focused my attention on things that were coming that I needed to be aware of,
mhm,
things that I needed to prepare for.
mhm,
So it came about when I was about 40, really strong and focused, about 42 years old.
mhm.
When I really started, focusing in on more of my routine of devotion.
That's awesome. So, and then you make the time also to check in with your wife and your children. Does that really like sort of kick off your day with a place of like focus for what matters to you? Or, is that relationship sort of the nurturing element that sort of sets the stage for what comes next?
It may be twofold. I think on one thing, you call to make sure everybody's still alive. You first check in, y'all all right? Y'all made it through another day because so much happens in the course of the evening and night. And
Yeah.
so you check in with them, make sure they're okay. And then, of course, the wife, she's telling me basically what's going on in the business and what has to take place that day. So, yeah, it's a check in, but it's also, also awareness to hear their voice and make sure they're all right.
So thank you for taking me through that. I would love to pivot a little bit and talk about your work. And I know there's a lot there. So you mentioned your films. Why don't we start with that? Tell me a little bit about the films that you've done and how you got into filmmaking in the first place.
Well, I'll start from the beginning. My father was the first, again, African American television show. It was kind of like a religious show that he had on every week
Mhm,
that he was exposed us to at the age of 10.
mhm,
So I was exposed to the background, the studio, the cameras, the editing, the director, and all that stuff, and I was intrigued with it. And then I did, for some reason, I did some acting, some monologues in elementary school and middle school. You know how they used to have a full round education back in the day,
mhm,
to where they gave you exposure to anything and everything that you may be interested in. And then my father died when I was 15 years old,
mm, mm,
and it wasn't until maybe about 3 or 4 years ago my favorite movie was Back to the Future.
mm,
It was
yeah.
about 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago,
Mhm,
where I was in meditation and praying, and it revealed to me that I started weeping because I went to hot. It was funny because I did a VIP at Universal Studios, and I was on the set of Universal Studios where they
mm,
did the car, and all that stuff, and Back to
yeah.
the Future.
Yeah.
And I just started weeping. I said,
Mm.
"Why am I weeping on the lot of Universal?" And
Yeah.
it dawned, and it came to me that that movie really helped me cope with my father's death.
Mm,
And
yeah.
Michael J. Fox was one of the guys that I was going to go to acting and stuff when I was 18. So I was trying to be like Family Ties back in the
Mhm.
day. So
Yep.
that was I think that the first interest of it was from my father on his show.
Mhm.
and then of course the different things. So uh, when we when I got of age, 25 years old, I had my own show, my
Mhm.
own teaching inspirational show.
Mhm.
And then later on in years, I didn't do much with it, and because of situations and issues that transpired in my life of trying to succeed in my career and the different things, I kept seeing the same things that cause certain people to win and others to lose, and you wonder why am I losing and he's winning, but he did everything opposite than I did,
Mhm.
and his opposite was wrong, but he's still climbing. So one Thanksgiving, I said, I'm going to write this movie. I wrote a book back in '97
Mhm.
called New Levels, New Devils, dealing with the media, believe it or not, about
Mhm.
how the media was going to affect our lives
Mm.
and how the internet was going to be what it is today. And I got the
Mm.
book. I wrote it in '97.
Wow.
And so I wrote this film about some of my disgruntlements of life, and
Mhm.
I put it together and made some action. And that's what happened with the vow. When I
Mhm.
had to make a vow in 41, 42, he
Mhm.
said, if you want this movie made, I want you to be more focused on your meditation, what have you. So I did,
Mhm.
and we developed this movie called John Wynn's Mirror Mirror. It's on Prime, Amazon Prime. It'll be on
Mhm.
Tubi,
Mhm.
Zumo, and IMBD TV. And
Mhm.
we did a theatrical release, a week theatrical release, which
Mhm.
was different
Mhm.
for the first film I did in
Uh-huh.
19. And
Mhm.
then last year I was just sitting around. I was going to do this other kind of sitcom
Uh-huh.
series, and then some said just do a feature film, and we put another feature film together
Mhm.
called John Wynn's Playhouse. It's about
Mhm.
therapy session
Mhm.
and how people go to this house thinking it's for one reason to have a great time, but they end up being healed from their childhood
Hmm.
traumas.
Okay.
And so that's coming out at, we're doing a not theatrical release, but a premiere at the end of February
Okay.
this year. So we're excited. So that's how it kind of got going.
Awesome. Yeah. So where will people be able to watch this film?
Well, right now we're in negotiations with a major network, so I'm going to see what they're talking about, and I'll see from there. And if they change their mind, they were interested in all of it. Then if not, I'll just put it and show it worldwide on the Wynn network.
Okay. Very, very
Hmm.
cool. So that's one aspect of you. I feel like you're just such a multifaceted, talented person. And so it's like there's the entertainment side, but then there's the spiritual side and the educational side. So I want to talk a little bit about those too. I know you're a pastor, as you said, third generational, and really with a drive to inspire others spiritually. But I also know that you've spent more than 2 decades working with teachers, students, and parents to help students graduate. So we do a lot of work in my public relations and marketing company, Your People, with schools and universities. And we talk to a lot of educators on this show. So I want to hear about your work in the educational sphere and how you came to do such important work, helping students really reach that graduation milestone.
Well, you know what? In Reno, Nevada, back in the '70s, when I was going to school, I think special ed had just came brand new, and they were marginalized a lot of the
Hmm.
minority students to get more economics for certain schools.
Hmm.
So when I was going to school in Reno, and it was only I was only one or two of us African Americans in the
Hmm.
school,
Hmm.
they would marginalize us and put us in classes to slow us down, but not really prepare us on our academics.
Hmm.
So going through that was still traumatic sometimes to me. I still yet cry at times because of what they did,
Yeah.
from a psychological standpoint. So
Hmm.
when I moved back to Reno in 2010, I was uh, I was just trying to figure out what to do because everything had just changed with the economy and all that stuff, and we had other businesses, and so everything just changed, and we moved up to Reno.
Hmm.
And I said, what can I do? And I went to Hug High School. That was one of the schools. And they were having a lot of issues with kids and students.
Hmm.
And I put this program together called the Yes Program,
Hmm.
Youth Empowered to Succeed.
Hmm.
And we dealt, it was a life skill type of curriculum that helped kids understand it was intimacy, identity, and industry.
Hmm.
So what we did, we went in there and developed who they were because I realized in education, so many times teachers focus so strong on academia,
Mhm.
but they don't focus on the ideal or the mindset of the student that
Mhm.
they're trying to get through.
Mhm.
Now, if a kid or a student has already gave themselves an F, what is your F going to do to them?
Right.
Absolutely nothing,
Right.
because they already flunked themselves.
Yeah.
So we went in and to try to develop self-esteem, because I realized, being an African American, it's a self-esteem issue that we have.
Hmm.
It's an issue of not feeling good enough, already feeling marginalized, and already feeling like we're nothing.
Mhm.
So then when you get to the school and you have different works, or you're having different issues with the work and you don't understand it, you act out in behavior
Mhm.
because you are really self-destructing, because you feel like, I'm not able to do this.
Yeah.
So we were able to get in the school with about 20 kids, starting this program that I created, that we have a curriculum and the whole workbook for.
Mhm.
And we just started talking to the kids and start developing these high school students.
Mhm.
And what we did, we start giving them the motivation to feel better about themselves, that the grade has nothing to do with the teacher,
Mhm.
and it doesn't have anything to do with your parents or the school. It has
Mhm.
everything to do with how you value yourself.
Hmm.
And when you take self-respect and you value you, then you want to what? Achieve in every area of your life.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we spent time teaching them to value themselves, asking them questions like, who are you?
Mhm.
What do you want in life? How do you navigate that? What are the basic human needs that you need?
Mhm.
Why are you self-destructing?
Mhm.
What do you want to go after? What do you want to create? What do you want to do? And gave them a roadmap
Mhm.
to get rid of the mental blueprint
Mhm.
of failure, and move mental roadblocks
Mhm.
that are stopping them from achieving. So, because we were able to show them their greatness, then they wanted to achieve in their life
Mhm.
and go on to college. And I mean, several kids have went on to high school, from high school in some of the
Mhm.
worst schools in Reno, and got into college or got a great job. And
Mhm.
they still, in fact, one of the kids reached out to me for my birthday on last week,
Mhm.
and I haven't done the program in 10, 20 years.
Mhm.
And she reached out and said, "Thank you, Dr. Wynn. You deserve it," and still going forward. So we
Mm.
realize the value of teaching and education is already tough in itself, and teachers don't always have enough time to deal with the kids' emotional stimulation and emotional traumas.
Yeah.
So they are on a time limit, but we were able to go in there and add that they call it social emotional type of learning, but we didn't
Mhm.
put just the aspect of feely friendly, but more of, hey, I am somebody. I can
Yeah.
do this.
Yeah. It's so important what you're talking about. And I feel like there's just so many barriers to educational success in America today. There's economic issues, there's racial issues, there's so much. And I feel like it feels overwhelming. It feels like, how do we transform our educational systems? How do we actually build equity so that all students and families have a fair chance to start at the same place? And I don't have an answer. I don't know. That's a big question. I don't know if you have an answer, but I just feel like there has to be a way. There has to be a way that we can give every child the same chance, because you're right. It's all about belief in themselves. And if the system isn't believing in them, how are they going to learn that?
Well, dealing with, like I said, I came from Reno, and
Yeah.
Reno's a very different world. Like I said, it was we were the minorities, of course, still is. It
Yeah.
was only a small percentage of African American, and I think what helped me out is
Mhm.
when my father died, my mom remarried, and we met. I went to Berkeley
Mhm.
for a semester
Mhm.
for high school.
Mhm.
And when I went to Berkeley High School, I saw people that looked like me. It was a
Mhm.
melting pot of all type of races, because
Yeah.
Berkeley High School is like a college prep school.
Okay.
And when I went there, and my counselor pushed me, he said, you can do this. You
Mhm.
go do the class. He had me in poetry. I'm like, poetry, poetry, business law,
Uh-huh.
all type of classes that challenged me. But what I saw when I saw people that looked like me, and I didn't even think in college, and Nevada, they're not really interested in you getting an education as much as they are now, because it was a service type of industry.
Yeah, sure.
So you were making $15 parking cars, $30, an hour doing
Mhm.
casino runners or busting tables. So they didn't
Right.
really care about academia, because you were making great money just doing service industry.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until just here recently, Nevada started putting emphasis on education.
Mhm.
And so when I went to Berkeley High School, and I wasn't thinking about going to college, and it wasn't until one of these guys, John, take your SAT test. I'm not taking
Mhm.
my SAT. John, just go take the SAT test. No, man, I'm not going to college. John, take the SAT test, whether you go or not. So I went and took it. So it was people that looked like you that was achieving that caused you to want to achieve. That,
Yeah.
oh, I can achieve. So when you see people look like you or people that have the same aspect or ideals of as you, and you want to see them move forward, and I think the challenge in educational system now, the Republicans, especially the Republicans,
Mhm.
they'd rather you get a trade than just spend 4 years, 5 years into a university and
Mhm.
then have 10 years worth of debt
Mhm.
because you can't get a job. My son
Right.
graduated from college, and he said, Dad, most of the people that graduate and from with an English degree,
Uh-huh.
said most people that are here were working in the warehouse in Reno
Mm.
because
Yeah.
nobody's hiring degree people for
Yeah.
whatever reason or what have you. So I think the truth of the matter is, so I think America has put its emphasis on capitalism.
Mhm.
So when you can make money and you feel like one guy, he was a gamer, young guy, young
Mhm.
young kid.
Mhm.
He's making millions playing games. He
It's
tells his
crazy.
mom, and he's like 12, 13, 14 years old. He tells his mom, I'm not going to college.
Right.
I'm rich.
Right. Right.
I'm
Yeah.
rich. So I
Oh my
think the
gosh.
school system has to put more emphasis on what it's trying to achieve. Like in Reno, they were called signature academies
Mhm.
where they start putting different trades back in school. Like one school focused on the medical industry, another one focused on the IT industry. Of course, you've heard of, if you're in academia, you heard of STEM,
Oh
science,
yeah.
technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Yep.
So everybody's going into tech IT. And I think now the best thing to do is teach kids how to code
Yeah.
because that's not going anywhere. And especially
Right.
with what has happened in the pandemic, everybody, even our business, we've seen growth 300% just because of the pandemic. And
Wow.
everybody's going to the social media, and going online and getting their information. So we were in the right place, the right
Mhm.
time,
Mhm.
unfortunately, for a bad event. I
Yeah.
mean, that because a bad event took place. So now kids now have to learn, and parents have to learn. Oh my gosh, our kids have to learn online
Mhm.
schooling. So I think it's really finding what kids want,
Mhm.
developing those kids and what they want to
Mhm.
learn and achieve, and then point them in the right direction. That's what
Mhm.
I try to do with my kids, and I think that's what people have to do because the system itself is not going to do that. That's what I feel like. It has to be definitely a parent initiative with the students as well as the
Totally.
teachers.
Yeah, totally true. And I love that because it's really embracing what is unique about the child and what are their skills and talents, and let's make them, like expand it and draw it out and see where it takes them. So that's awesome. So it's interesting because you mentioned your network and how in the pandemic you've really seen growth. I want to talk about it. So in 2017, you launched a 24-hour TV network platform called the Wynn Network. So tell me about it. How did it come to be? What are your goals for this?
You know what? It came to be an inspirational entertainment network. It's inspiration because we do have language. We don't have nudity,
Hmm.
but we do have language in certain films, and it's entertainment. But also it's inspirational because sometimes you want to see a good flick, but sometimes you're going through and you need some inspiration, some good
Yeah,
words, or a good song, or good music. So
sure.
we try to bring and marry that together because I built it off of me.
Mhm.
I like good movies.
Yeah.
My mom asked me one time, John, are you gonna go watch this particular faith-based movie? I said, Nah, mom, I'm gonna go see somebody get shot or
Uh-huh.
killed because I want some action.
Yeah.
So I try to keep a well-rounded mindset when it comes to medium because you have to be well-rounded in that space because it's entertainment.
Sure.
And so we have limitations on what entertainment we allow on the platform. But for the
Hmm.
most part, if it's inspirational, if it's good, and it's family friendly, then that's what we're doing. Our job is not to show per se the view of the world. I don't have that world view.
Hmm.
Where we need these type of people and we need these type of people. Nah, I'm not doing that. I'm more focused on the overall story. There's plenty of networks you can go to. I'm
Yeah.
interested in stories.
Okay.
And if it's a good story, that's what we put together. So
Awesome.
it really came out of, seeing people that are creative and people that have an idea,
Hmm.
that want to do movies, but don't have to compromise themselves or go to the casting couch, as they say,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
have to compromise who they are and their belief and their identity to act or to perform. So that's another thing that we did, because we did some sitcoms and some other movies. We have access to over 7,000 films, and
Hmm.
we have films on the network that are both. They're some Christian and some are not. Some are just good stories.
Hmm. What are your goals for the network? What are you looking to see happen in the future?
You know what? I would like to see if I could. The network is free, but then the new releases, non-commercials, like $5.99.
Hmm.
I would like to see 500,000 subscribers within a few years,
Hmm.
and if we can, and more, then as more grows, that's fine to me too.
Hmm.
500 subscribers. That's paying the $5.99 if on this type of platform. If not, we would like to reach, like we're doing. We have access to reach over 380 million homes worldwide
Hmm.
on Fire Stick, Roku television,
Hmm.
Google Play, and iOS systems,
Okay.
Apple TV. We can be seen on your phones, your Android phones, your app, your iPad, and everywhere, just like Netflix, pretty much. We're
Okay.
working on getting on smart televisions, as well as, because with the smart television you have to buy the Roku box or
Yeah.
the Apple box. But
Yep.
we're working on getting on those Samsungs and those
Hmm.
LG TVs as well. So we're
Awesome.
just expanding every year.
Very cool. So you do a lot of things, a lot of great things, and I'm wondering what you love most doing and what's been the most rewarding for you so far.
Empowering folks, doing my empowerment with the Dr. John Wynn,
Hmm.
with the young people, with the kids,
Hmm.
inspiring people, helping them reach their goals, finding out who they are. I think that has been when I talk about fulfillment, when I talk about feeling, I mean that's the best feeling. That's better than preaching to me,
Hmm.
because it's giving people, it's talking to people where they are and really giving them a sense of direction.
Hmm.
Because I know when I was young, I didn't have any direction. My
Hmm.
dad died. I moved to a new city.
Hmm.
Stepdad, you know how that works,
Hmm.
and just was looking for direction.
Hmm.
And one day I was getting ready to come out of high school, and I was watching PBS, and Les Brown was on TV, and he was talking about his challenges as a young kid. He said, but the teacher told him one thing. He said, it's better to be prepared for an opportunity than
Hmm.
have an opportunity and not be prepared.
Hmm.
And that stuck with me from my 18 years, when I was 18 years old, to now I'm 51.
Hmm.
And the crazy thing was, Saturday, this past Saturday, a day after my birthday,
Hmm.
a friend of mine connected me to Les Brown, and I
Hmm.
was able to tell Les Brown
Hmm.
what he meant for me, and he possibly may come to the network and have a channel. So that was exciting because he inspired me so
Oh, so you just gave me chills. That's amazing.
much.
That's so cool. Wow.
That was
Wow.
just this past weekend, and it was just wow. And
Yeah.
I was able to tell him that, how he gave me some direction to prepare my mind and my life. That I told my kids, hey, it's better to be prepared. So let's be prepared for opportunities to go forward. And that's what happened with the pandemic. We were ready. We were
Mhm.
prepared.
Yeah.
We had everything laid out. So when people and pastors needed service and what have you, or didn't know what to do with their streaming service, we were able to come to the aid to those pastors. And that was the greatest feeling, as well as
Awesome.
to empower people.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, on this show, we share with listeners how to determine your meaning and use it to direct purpose-driven work. So I wonder if you would give some advice to our listeners who are looking for, what is their meaning? How do they put that into something that will make a difference? What advice would you have for people listening today about how they can discover what they were meant to do?
That's a loaded question. I think it depends on what aspect of life or where you come from. I really believe that. For instance, when I was coming up as a church guy in the church, I thought everything had to be geared towards what I was part of in church.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't realize I could take the church with me to empower people outside of the four walls.
Hmm.
And I think sometimes people look more at their their areas or what they've been exposed to find their purpose.
Hmm.
But they never look within themselves to really pray and ask, what is it that you want me to do? And
Hmm.
I think people, many times I've talked to many of them, they just fulfill what. There's two things that I think I also gather with purpose,
Mm-hmm.
but America kind of teaches against it. What I've come to know,
Mm-hmm.
learn, is that sometimes you'll find your purpose in the pathway that was passed down to from your parents.
Hmm. Hmm.
Whether for instance, my dad was a community leader. My dad was a pastor. My dad was a businessman. My grandfather was a pastor. He was a community leader. He was a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
I told my sons, I said, listen, I could play sports, but I didn't make it in sports.
Mm-hmm.
I did make it in business. I did make it in ministry, and I did make it in things like that. I could give you those tools
Mm-hmm.
that's already innate in you
Mm-hmm.
to go forward with it, and then find a meaning within that pattern that's already been laid out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know nowadays society says, let your kids find their own way. Well, I don't agree with that, because I
Hmm.
feel like the parents have worked hard to develop you to take on something, or business or legacy or whatever it is, to
Mm-hmm.
where you don't have to struggle in life after so many different generations. As they say, shirt sleeve, the shirt sleeve, how it goes.
Yeah.
And so I think people can maybe sometimes, if you stop and really listen, you can find your purpose within your family's uh, giftings
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, if you just
Mm-hmm.
look and watch. And sometimes people don't like to do that. They want to go to school and just explore this and that and the other. And the truth of the matter is, you don't really understand after you get the education. The education doesn't teach you how to really do the job. It
Yeah.
gives you the knowledge of the job, but not the know-how of the job.
Yeah.
And so I learned that, looking at the purpose of my dad, I mean, because I believe your purpose is also identified to you young. I
Mm-hmm.
was exposed to
Yes.
media young.
Yeah.
So I had to tap into it though,
Yeah.
because I was so focused thinking it was about the church building. I just told my sisters this today.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I thought my purpose was just pastoring and trying to get to the church, but my success didn't come from that.
Mm-hmm.
In other, what I mean by success, a full, huge congregation, people coming to the church. No, it came through my aspect of the media.
Mm.
I've had more and experienced success through the media, through the films, telling the story,
Yeah.
and being related that way more than I did my four walls that I thought I was going to be great at.
Yeah.
So, but then I said, well, John, what gives you permission to be here? I said, well, when I was 10 years old, my father exposed me to it. That's what gives me permission to be here.
Hmm.
So just tapping into your youth and really thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, we know who we are early on. And I think we forget that as we get older and other people give their opinions. But that little
Hmm.
voice inside can be so clear and
Yes.
so guiding if we just want to listen to it.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. Well,
Definitely.
John Wynn, it is such a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you so much for being on the Make Meaning podcast.
Thank you so much for your questions and giving us an opportunity to be with you.
Thanks for listening to the Make Meaning podcast with Lynn Galadner. You can find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. If you like what you've heard here, join us over at makemeaning.org to discover how you can add more meaning to your life. And hey, if you like our conversations, please subscribe and share this episode with the meaningful people in your world.